course, conservatives reacted to this undertaking by acting like the creator of this project, Nicole Hannah-Jones, just cut off Uncle Sam's dick and fed it to communists in front of children. Newt Gingrich called it brainwashing. Ted Cruz called it Marxist indoctrination. And Senator Tom Cotton even in front of children. Newt Gingrich.
You like that line?
No, I don't.
Gingrich called it brainwashing. Ted Cruz.
Nicole Hannah-Jones.
Okay. So again, first of all, I hate Ted Cruz with a passion.
Yeah.
And now Cody's making me defend Ted Cruz.
I know. Fucking Armageddon has come. You thought that Jesus joke was funny, but this, I'm looking at it like this is fucking karma, dude. Now you're defending Ted Cruz. How's it feel?
He says Ted Cruz called it Marxist indoctrination. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So the implication is he's calling the 1619 Project Marxist indoctrination. But if you read the tweet, there's nothing about the 1619 Project in the tweet.
Oh, really?
He says critical race theory is Marxist indoctrination that teaches America is inherently racist. White people are racist. Colorblindness is racist. Our systems, judicial, military, are irredeemably racist. Biden is teaching these lies to our servicemen and women. Hashtag CRT.
Mm-hmm. That has nothing to do with the. Where does it say 1619 Project?
Nothing to do with it. And I would agree with his explanation of what CRT is. I would agree with all those suppositions.
Hell yeah. I think Cody would agree with all those suppositions. Cody would definitely endorse every single one of those.
I think he would try to weasel out of it and reframe it so it doesn't sound so bad.
Every time he says color blindness, he means racism blindness, which is racist.
No, but I don't think Cody would, even if he believes it, I don't think he would say all white people are racist. He would say, oh, well, all white people systemically, participate in the systemic systems of systems. And
I think Cody's Cody would jump up and even call himself racist as a white person.
Maybe.
He's one of those people that would definitely jump in and say, oh, yeah. He'd put it on his resume. Racist white person.
It's amazing on the show how many times Cody will put up a picture of something that disproves the words coming out of his mouth.
Yeah.
Who's running this shoddy operation here? You need a better editor. I think your editor is playing tricks on you.
We should call Cody Some More Lies, like we call thought slime, thought crime.
Some more lies. That's good. That's good.
Some more lies.
Some more lies. True.
Cruz called it Marxist indoctrination. And Senator Tom Cotton even introduced a bill to ban it from being taught in public schools.
Oh, yeah, 1619 Project.
Retorting that, as the Founding Fathers thought, slavery was the necessary evil upon which the Union was built. And very smart best friends of mine like Ben Shabeeps called it pseudo-history, because some historians argued that one of the essays exaggerated a claim about the role of friends of mine like Ben Shabeeps.
So even Some More Lies is repeating the vaguely anti-Semitic
Ben
Shabeeb's name
Ben
that
Shabeebo.
Hassan came up with.
I know.
It's very strange.
They always come up with that. They always name Ben Shapiro something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to be clear, the Tom Cotton quote, which I don't know if he's right or not, he's not saying slavery was a necessary evil. He's saying the Founding Fathers said it was a necessary evil.
Right. Yeah.
Which I don't know if they did, but if they did, then
totally
he's
fucking
accurate.
They argued over it in all kinds of letters and shit like that. Some of the Founding Fathers were very much against slavery, but they were like, well, it's the South.
They were.
We won't be able to unite the country. We want a big fat country.
Well, but that's where so much of this 1619 stuff is so delusional, because it's kind of operating under the idea that, like the old idea that, oh, all the Founding Fathers, they all magically teleported into a room one day and they just wrote the Constitution and everyone said, this is perfect. And it's like, no. This was months and years of people vehemently arguing with each other and deal making with each other because no one could fucking agree on anything.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill of Rights wasn't even in the original draft. They were like, what the fuck? All this power? No, we want protections for the people.
Right. And the slavery issue was, as you said, was a hotly debated and contested conversation, because not only was it just the moral question of slavery, but because in those days there wasn't so much Republican Democrat. It was slave states versus free states. That was the main political line. It got roped into this political identity and this political coalition.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm not making any defense of slavery. Okay.
Don't you hate that you have to say that?
I know that I hate that I have to say that. To explain the context of why
fuck is pro-slavery.
I know. To explain why the country was kind of created the way it was is because you have 13 colonies that are about to engage in a war with the biggest global superpower in the world at the time.
Yeah.
By fighting for their independence. And they know that the only way they can do this is if they all unify to fight against that. Okay.
Yeah.
So they need to make concessions with the slave states to just in order to get everyone to come to the table and to fight the war.
Didn't the same thing happen in World War II with the commies? Because I mean, fucking, we fought with the USSR, Soviet Russia.
Yeah, that's exactly what. Yeah, definitely.
We weren't all loving up to the commies all of a sudden.
Called it history because some historians argued that one of the essays exaggerated a claim about the role that the
Wouldn't it be funny if he gave Chris Rufo this kind of a doubt when he said, because Chris Rufo got one thing and, that one thing was a little bit off.
That's such a great point. He pulls the one thing that Chris Rufo, you could say, was being a little bit hyperbolic about. And he's like, this proves that Chris Rufo's a liar about everything.
A fucking dirty liar. Yeah, lies about everything. But in this 1619 project, it's like this one thing that, all of the, I mean, none of the history people, I think all the history people have pretty much come out against her. I wish I knew this stuff better. Do you know? The 1619
Yeah, I do.
project?
I do know.
Okay,
good.
But
let's let him play the claim, and then we'll talk.
All right.
Preservation of slavery played in the motivations of colonists in the American Revolution. This sentence was later amended by adding 2 words, changing the statement from the claim that protecting the institution of slavery was one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare their independence to one of the primary reasons that some of the colonists decided to declare their independence. Because, a lot of them did. The states, they wrote it down. Conservatives used this arguably slightly exaggerated claim to try and
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Let's go back.
I'm glad.
Okay. So first of all, he said, they were just against the 1690 project because one of the essays made this claim. Mm-hmm. First of all, this is the introductory essay written by Nicole Hannah-Jones. This is like the first thing people read.
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
And secondly, if the New York Times or whomever edited it out and barely changed it, that's not proof that they were right. That's just proof that their edit is bullshit. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I want to read the whole paragraph here.
All I know about 1619 project is from listening to Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter fucking rip on the 1619 project all the time about how untrue it is.
Here's the paragraph. And by the way, this isn't the only thing that the historians have critiqued. This is just the most
egregious,
controversial, most egregious thing that they've pointed out. The paragraph is, and this is by Nicole Hannah-Jones, conveniently left out of our founding mythology is the fact that one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare their independence from Britain was because they wanted to protect the institution of slavery.
Now that is a pretty wild claim, Sitch. That's a pretty wild claim. That's basically saying they only wanted to start America because they were super hard for slavery.
Yep. And I read a whole article by a black historian, who was contacted by the New York Times to fact check this claim, and she said it's all bullshit.
Exactly.
She said
such a wild claim.
He said, while it's true that a couple years prior to 1776, England outlawed slavery in their own country, they did, however, retain slavery in all their overseas colonies for another 50 or 60 years.
Wow.
So there was no threat and no discussion or serious discussion from England that they wanted to outlaw slavery in the Americas.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's total bullshit. A total bullshit claim.
Right.
Anyway, it continues by saying, by 1776,
Well,
Britain had grown deeply.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Britain had grown deeply conflicted over its role in the barbaric institution that reshaped the Western Hemisphere. In London, there were growing calls to abolish the slave trade. This would have upended the economy of the colonies in both the North and the South. The wealth and prominence that allowed Jefferson, at just 33, and other founding fathers to believe they could successfully break off from one of the mightiest empires in the world came from the dizzying profits generated by chattel slavery. In other words, we may never have revolted against Britain if the founders had not understood that slavery empowered them to do so, nor if they had not believed that independence was required in order to ensure that slavery would continue. It is not incidental that 10 of this nation's first 12 presidents were enslavers, and some might argue that this nation was founded not as a democracy, but as a slaveocracy.
My God, this is fucking such nonsense.
Okay. So that's a huge fucking claim made in the introductory article by the author, Hannah Nicole Jones, that historians are like, yeah, that's not even remotely true.
Right.
It's not even remotely true. But, it's just a small thing, Adam. It's just a little small thing.
That's not a tiny thing, Sitch. That's gigantic. That's gigantic. As if slavery didn't. They go into, in my favorite book, obviously, Why Nations Fail, they go into like how slavery held the South back. That's why the North became the economic powerhouse that it did and was able to win the Civil War. So, I mean, the whole idea that slavery enriched, if anything, it held them back. It kept the South impoverished.
Sure.
Also, I'm curious about, I remember reading something long, long ago about taxation without representation. And is that part of the, it seemed more like, so part of the mythology is that the whole taxation without representation is just nonsense. And it's really about, we might lose our slaves and we have to.
Yep.
Yeah. He makes a pretty compelling argument that, one that I've made in debates, that the whole slavery is anti-capitalist. Slavery is big time anti-capitalist.
Well, I'm assuming he would say slavery is capitalism because he's the economy. So.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why they say, definitely. You're a wage slave.
Well, they say slavery is capitalism because you're owning people, and capitalism has to do with property rights. So, well, let's continue here. We'll power through. Let's
changing
speed it
the
up.
Statement from the claim that protecting the institution of slavery was one of the primary reasons the colonists decided to declare their independence to one of the primary reasons that some of the
Yeah, I would like to see which of those columnists and what is the evidence that she's using. Like, I want to see one of the columnists that said that was the primary reason.
She even admitted that it was a weak claim, that she was being hyperbolic, and that it wasn't so much.
She does. So she doesn't have a letter or anything. She doesn't have any evidence whatsoever that somebody, because a lot of this stuff comes from like diary entries and stuff for people.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. I'm assuming she had something, but she also admitted that a large part of the 1619 project and that specific claim was not so much to, mirror objective reality, but to promote, conversation.
Yeah, well, she did call it mythology, which I'm like, I don't understand. Historians coming out calling history mythology seems a little suspect to me already. Right?
Yeah, definitely. That's not, you don't want to hear historians talk like that. Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any of the Christians coming out and saying, "Oh, Jesus, the Jesus mythology." It's like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, but that's par for the course for a lot of critical theorists, is that there is no objective reality. It's all power games. So,
Here's a little power game for you.
Right.
So mythology was just her tipping her hand. By the way, this is all a bunch of fucking pack of lies. Choke on these lies.
Some more lies.
I know, exactly. It's perfect.
Decided to declare their independence. Because, a lot of them did. The states, they wrote it down. Conservatives used this arguably slightly exaggerated claim to try and...
What was that graphic? The Declaration of Reasons. Is the claim on that?
I wasn't looking.
Here, I'll back.
Played some graphic or something.
Yeah, this thing. The Declaration of Causes of Seceding States. Is it on there? Is it on that paper?
Well, this is why I don't understand. This seems like another some more lies. Okay. This is the declaration of people seceding not from England, but from the Union.
Is it really?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a completely different thing.
So no one's saying obviously the Civil War was about slavery. Like, what the fuck's he talking about?
The Civil, when did the Civil War take place? Because it wasn't 1619. I know 1619, and then 1776 was the actual Declaration of Independence, right?
Yeah, he has the picture is the Declaration of Immediate Causes which induce and justify the cession of the South Carolina from the federal union, also known as the South Carolina Declaration of Secession, was a proclamation issued on December 24th, 1860.
Yeah, so 1860 is after all of the founding fathers are dead. Fucking dead and buried.
Right. But I'm glad you caught this because I forgot. That's how dishonest. This is some more, Sam. Some more lies. Okay. Because listen, we'll go back a second. Listen to what he says.
2, one of the primary reasons that some of the colonists decided to declare their independence. Because, a lot of them did. The states, they wrote it down.
Okay.
Yeah, that's way fucking dishonest.
Yeah, he just said the states wrote down that they were seceding from England, and here's evidence they wrote it down by providing a document from the Civil War 100 years later.
Yeah. What the fuck?
What the fuck? It's so dishonest.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
Dishonest.
Yes, insane.
Yeah, that's what I want. I'm like, what is the evidence that anyone was seceding because they were worried about like having to give up their slaves?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.